Hi there. Welcome. I'm Bob Thompson, and I'd like to welcome you to the Philanthropic Planner program. For planners like you and me, you don't have to be a millionaire to be a philanthropic planner, or planners themselves, advisors, attorneys, accountants, insurance professionals, and so on. So this is dedicated for one purpose, actually a number of purposes, but primarily to promote meaningful dialogue about the importance of giving, the importance of philanthropy to the community, local communities, state, region, country, globe. Philanthropy, boring subject. People ask me, what the heck are you doing? What are you doing that for? We need to increase the awareness of the importance of philanthropy. The nonprofit sector contributes 10, 11, maybe 12% of the employment in our country, and we don't talk about that. We take it for granted. We depend more on taxes and generating tax gifts there, and when that starts to dry up and so on, we have de-emphasized over the last couple of decades the importance, and most recently, the last decade, about the importance of giving. That's a part of our makeup. That's a part of what Alexis de Tocqueville talked about, the magic of this country, public, private, and charity. That's a part of our DNA, I think. So I use the Chronicle of Philanthropy. Here's 2020 vision. And I think this will set the tone for the next 2 or 3 programs. But today's title is In the News. And I got to cut this short because we have a very important guest today. But in the news, and locally in the news, First Church right around the corner, our beautiful New England church, a campaign raise of $4.4 million that they're announcing. Local news, Healing Meals continues to do great work. Lisa Gray's Promise to Jordan, we get that in the news. There's a lot happening in the news, but I want to talk about recently, in the last month, Congress passed and the President signed the Secure Act. So what does that have to do with philanthropy? Maybe we should talk about that a little bit more in a future program and so on. In the news, about 4 years ago, we had an important guest, and we have him back, and I'd like to welcome Mike Afflitto, Plan Giving Director, I believe, still.
That's correct.
Okay.
Great to be here, Bob.
With the Salvation Army, and our last program titled Join the Army. So welcome back, and I want to hear more about the Army. So in the news, good news, committed to doing good for the community.
That's correct. Doing the most good. That's our moniker, and that's what we continue to do. So we've been fortunate and blessed. We're coming off another pretty good Christmas season where people are very generous to us.
I confess, and I apologize, I wanted you early or late November, early December to get that Christmas exposure there, but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I did want to mention that, the kettle effort, while it's this, as we know, an iconic symbol of the Army, and it's been around for a long time. It's
the red badge.
It's really not what it once was for us, and I think people need to know that it's not a preferred method for people to give, although it's an iconic symbol for us. So
it used to be a major.
It used to be the major fundraising effort of the Salvation Army for a number of years until we actually got into an active philanthropic approach to, in working with our donors. But it really was pretty much the only way we appealed to the public for funds.
The shift was an unintended consequence.
Well, I think the shift was part of the changing landscape, just like the shifts that the Army's making now. It's part of the landscape based upon trends in philanthropy. It's one of the reasons why kettles, which are really a point of sale method, at brick and mortar stores, and we all know that brick and mortar Retail sales are way off based upon the internet. So while we're seeing less money coming to us through our Red Kettle effort, we're seeing increased donations coming electronically and through internet donations, which is a trend for all nonprofits.
Now, is this a monthly gift of $25 a month out of my checking that automatic? Is that what you're saying?
We have some of that, but even at Christmas this year, at the Kettle locations, you were actually able to make a donation electronically through Apple Pay or Google Pay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just by scanning your phone up against the.
I wasn't thinking about that.
Oh yeah, up against the the little symbol that allows you to do that. So I mean that's an up and coming program for us. It's in its infancy. But
you
certainly
see potential growth?
Oh, absolutely. We're focusing our efforts significantly in the Army's making a significant investment into our technology infrastructure to be able to have a online digital presence, not only to accept gifts and for people to make gifts, but to do all of our marketing, communicate to our donors and the general public about our programs and services. Also to do marketing about philanthropy, our plan giving marketing, our campaign marketing. We're all about trying to get the word out electronically.
Social media.
Absolutely. Trying to utilize social media. I mean, it's a part of everybody's life, as philanthropy should be, so why not blend those two methods together?
No, that's true. I got to interject for 30 seconds a Christmas kettle story that I wanted to share with you. Over here at Fitzgerald's, our local grocery store, I come out and I'm ready to put something in the kettle, and here's mother, father, son, and daughter. In my last program, I mentioned the same thing. And to me, that volunteering and passing down the value of supporting the Salvation Army, to me, that just was, maybe it's the Midwest in me, Mike, that I'm thinking, this is cool. Here's mom and dad, son and daughter, and they're ringing the bell, colder than hell, okay? And to me, that meant a lot. I hope the combination of the digital and the kettle, both of those combined, are complementing each other or whatever.
Well, it's a great story, and I'll just tell you that as a result of some of our online marketing and our appeal for volunteers to ring the bell this year, we've seen a 16% increase here in Connecticut in terms of the number of volunteers that we enlisted to assist us with that effort.
Now, year-round, other than the kettle, you depend a lot on volunteer hours?
Well, absolutely. Through our service extension programs, any place where the Army doesn't have a core location, like in the major cities, or Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven, or Meriden, or Bristol, or Willimantic. I mean, those areas like out in Torrington and Winsted, we have an ongoing effort through our service extension is what the internal term for the Army is, and we rely really solely on volunteers working with a small staff from the Army. We have 3 people based in Hartford that monitor and oversee the service extension program, pretty much all volunteer service.
Okay, super.
And we're really fortunate because we have some great people, been with us a long time, and we're seeing them as a result of some of the tools and the resources we're giving them and committing to their efforts. We're seeing some really great results. So we're pleased with service extension.
Yeah. Now I'm going to call them drop-off centers. Is that proper label for it?
It is. Our adult rehabilitation centers is what we call them.
Okay.
The thrift stores, as they're commonly known to the general public. The drop-off centers, whether it's a box that it's at a specific location, or if you drop something off at the thrift store. The adult rehabilitation program is a significant program for the Salvation Army. It's self-funded. The donations that come in, either things that are repurposed, or sometimes people provide us with new clothes or furniture that we then resell and take and put right back into our adult rehabilitation program, which is a program that serves people that are suffering from substance abuse. It's a residential program where you come into the program and actually stay and are housed, and then you actually work either in the thrift store or in the warehouse, or perhaps driving the trucks. You've seen the trucks and people doing pickups and such. All of those people, for the most part, are going through the program and are in recovery. It's a successful program. Can be up to 13 months. We have a great success rate, better than the Betty Ford Clinic.
Wow. Now, is this part of the Path of Hope for
Pathway of Hope is a different program that the Army has. It's a national initiative. I know we talked about it the last time I was here. It's up and running here in Connecticut, expanding from 3 communities to 6. It's a program where we work exclusively with families, trying to get them to transition out of poverty, a cycle of poverty that perhaps they've been in or falling or have fallen into. So our social workers work directly with families on some simple things that we might take for granted: how to create a resume, how to balance your checkbook, how to open up a bank account. Some of the things that
we take a lot of that for granted.
A lot of us who've been blessed and with a stable family life can learn that just throughout our upbringing. We see a lot of people that, believe it or not, just don't have that skill set. So we're helping them with that. Trying to give them the life skills to break out. All people need, Bob, is opportunity. Nobody sets out to be a failure. Okay, and the community and people, we have a responsibility to help each other.
There are a lot of hurdles in front of these people for them to get out. I mean, their awareness is one thing, but educating them and so on. But those, I call them hurdles, artificial hurdles. We have a young man that got out of incarceration last October. Has difficulty in starting a bank account, a basic savings and a checking account. And I'm thinking we need to help that person and other people to get them back into society and productivity.
Absolutely.
And taking advantage of the opportunities we have. I'm going to shift gears for a second, okay?
Sure.
Mike knows we don't rehearse for this thing. And in the news, and part of my motivation here, Mike, was I mentioned the Secure Act, but I see well, let me touch on the Secure Act for a second. A number of things came into play there for small businesses to be incentivized to start retirement plans, automatic enrollment, and so on. And in my next show on college costs, there are some ramifications there. But extending the required minimum distribution from 70 to 72, how that comes back and impacts philanthropy, I think, if we do it right, if we work with clients that they don't want all this money. We got people that they don't want the required minimum distribution at 70, okay? But an article came out of Bloomberg, and I want to share this with you and with our viewers. Americans to inherit $764 billion this year. Have you seen this?
I have.
This blows my mind in a lot of respects, okay? Typical Bloomberg, I think, forgive me. The significance of this article, okay, is drawn to how to be a tax revenue, and we're not taxing these people on inheritance, okay? But $764 billion, and I want to relate that to some other big figures, 768. There are estimated 121 billion in donor-advised funds, 121 billion. I think that's understated. and an estimated $872 billion in private foundations. Now, in 1 year, we're talking about $764 billion. Now let's look at this crazy group, the baby boomers, okay? From 46 to 64, 19, okay? We're 1/3 into that wave of retiring, 10,000 a day, baby boomers retiring. So now we've gone from 1946 to 1954, okay? Now this part of the baby boomers have parents, and part of this inheritance figure in 1 year is coming to them just as they're about to retire. And they say that this 10,000 a day is going to go to 12,000 a day by 2029 or whatever that is, okay? Now, the challenges before we got on air, what are your challenges? It is one of, hey, maybe the kettle income isn't as great as it is, but your job is a tough one, plan giving. I mean, super tough. And we take it for granted that everybody knows how tough your job is, okay? We have this inheritance coming. I had a client in just in the last week, $1.2 million, and I don't need this income, okay? So where's it go? Where's it go? It should go, Salvation Army should get a piece of that, and I don't mean to be judgmental there, but planners, we have an obligation to educate the public, to assure them that they have the capacity to make some gifts, okay? Now that required minimum distribution, pushed a little bit, and that qualified charitable distribution that we're allowed, okay? Some of that we should be increasing, and we should be educating our plan giving. What's your primary suite tool?
Well, I mean, we have a great focus, as you can imagine, on the transfer of wealth, and in particular, these inherited assets, whether they be IRAs or accumulated assets in IRAs and other types of retirement accounts.
Right.
There's a great opportunity for people who, as you say, some people are blessed and they don't need that income. Well, the government's now, they're giving you a bit of a tax break, and that's an incentive on one side, but also the delay in the required minimum distribution is also going to allow people to accumulate some more assets, and then so you're just kicking the can down the road. So perhaps your 1.2 might be 1.4 by the time you take your minimum required distribution. What does that mean for me and my work? I like to talk to people about their retirement assets at 59 and a half.
Okay.
That becomes the dichotomy and kind of where the rubber hits the road between the planner, the gift planner, and the financial planner, where a lot of people in the financial sector are fulfilling their responsibility to advise their clients. You need to accumulate and preserve your assets for retirement, and I understand that. But also, there's a responsibility, as you mentioned, I believe, for planners to convey the importance to their clients of the reality of the numbers, and that you can make these gifts. And if you know your clients as you know yours, and you've known them for a number of years, I know your practice, and you've had them for 30, 40 years, and you've seen them. You know the person, and you know what their passions are. Well, and sometimes, and most often, way better than the gift planner. So if the planning community, the financial planning community, can be encouraging people and reassuring them that they have enough to live comfortably, pass something to their heirs if they so
yeah.
choose,
Yeah.
and make those types of gifts that they always wanted to, which a lot of times at the end of your life, they
Yeah.
can become more significant.
Yeah.
The kind of gift that you wanted to always give. And it's, I'm not just going to say the Salvation Army, because there's a lot of great organizations and institutions. What people should be doing is supporting in a significant way those organizations that reflect their values.
Exactly.
Your alma mater,
Yeah.
your church, whether it's a social service agency, is it the museum, is it the symphony, whatever it is.
But that rising tide of philanthropy raises boats, all boats.
And that's what we need to have.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned early on about the percentage of people that work in this sector. It's pretty significant,
It
and
is.
there's a lot of money floating around there, meaning to be utilized and utilized in the right way. And so we're seeing a lot of people really now, because there's been a heightened awareness about, the qualified charitable distribution,
Yeah, yeah.
and now the Secure Act. There's really a heightened awareness by folks, which I would credit, I think, a lot to the financial planning community to kind of put an emphasis on that, and to
That's the
utilize that
challenge
as
we
an
have.
opportunity.
That's what the challenge we have. Yeah.
But I'm seeing our donors be more aware of it. And I think some of it also is the marketing that we do as well.
Yeah.
Because we're certainly making
Combination.
people aware of the gift opportunities that exist for people and this significant transfer of wealth and is
Credible figures.
Yeah, and the Secure Act is going to change some things. Particularly at higher levels, people that have in excess of $1 million in a retirement account. And believe me, I see a lot of people that they get to 70 and a half or now
Yeah,
72,
yeah.
and they've never touched their IRA. And it's not uncommon for people to have in excess of $1 million. And then they have a tax problem, and it has significant ramifications beyond just the tax they may need to pay on that
Correct.
distribution.
Correct.
It's a lot of times it affects your Medicare contribution.
Exactly.
It pushes you into a totally different tax bracket that you need to be cognizant of. So that's why I talk to folks about, once you get to be 59 and a half, let's start to talk about
Exactly.
what you want to accomplish philanthropically.
With your qualified and non-qualified money as
Absolutely.
sources of income. Quick interjection for you. $1.2 million that I was talking about? Mm-hmm. Cigna stock. Cigna stock. Dividends. Annual dividends from $1.2 million, 6,000 shares of Cigna. Mm-hmm. $230 a year. $237 a year. Now, charitable gift annuities, laddering charitable gift
Sure.
annuities for the next 10 years.
Great strategy.
50,000, 50,000, 50,000, starting at her age, 7.9%.
Sure.
7.9%. She's looking at this. Well, now, if we take care of this income-wise, we free up money over here. Mm-hmm. She's got more than the capacity to make those gifts.
I mean, appreciated assets and this strategy you suggest about funding gift annuities and laddering them it's really a marvelous tool. And if gift planners are talking about that, so should financial planners, in my opinion, because I show people pretty much on a weekly basis how they can make commitments and establish deferred annuities over the 5 years leading into retirement, or perhaps 10, and defer them out and ladder them and actually increase their retirement income and use it as a method to keep pace with inflation and ultimately benefit the organization that you're supporting. It's really simplistic. Once again, my hope is that planners, financial planners, are sharing the same types of ideas that they have to accumulate wealth, to disperse the wealth in whatever way a person chooses. Because after all, it's their money, Bob.
See, he and I are on the same page. In sidebar before, we're talking about CAPs. Now, you may not be familiar with CAPs, but chartered advisors in philanthropy, we've got to get more of those advisors, like 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever, okay? But we need the challenge on the other side, the development side, to communicate a little bit better with the advisor. The advisor has the tax returns, and it may be a little bit harder communication-wise and question-wise to get into the tax, what are you actually paying in taxes? I'm oversimplifying it, but we both have big challenges, and it's the awareness that good planning, good gifting, a gifting plan. Steve Myers, I have to tell you, in disclosure-wise, Mike and I meet at the Plan Giving Group of Connecticut meetings periodically, and you're membership, aren't you? Are you on the membership committee?
Recently, have been
Or
recruited to.
Were you demoted, or you went up?
It could very well be viewed as a demotion, but recently have been asked to join the board as the vice president of membership. Yes.
Okay, we need. Now we change hats a little bit. We need more nonprofits to participate in that type of organization, Plan Giving Group of Connecticut. We need more advisors to understand some of the challenges that development has. And big subject, you and I could talk for another hour and a half on this program.
Sure.
But I have a couple of things that I need to throw on the table as we close. One, you could write out a check, small check, $25, $50, to Simsbury Community TV. How's that for a plug? But I want to talk about the Hartford Foundation of Public Giving gift to the 29 towns in the Hartford Foundation region, $100,000, $50,000 in immediate grants, $50,000 is, I'm calling it seed money for an endowment to grow. Bob, I would like to do more if I knew how. I would like to do more if I can. If I can is capacity, and how is sharing charitable gift ideas. Are we seeing a resonance of pooled income funds?
We haven't seen it yet, but there's always.
It's coming.
I would think so.
Income, deferral, younger age.
Sure.
Taking care of the charity. Mike, I appreciate you being.
Bob, always a pleasure. Great to see you.
We'll have you back again before 4 years.
I hope so.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.